Thank you. We shall now go on to our next talk. Our next speaker is Dr. Ganesh Raman, who's the Chief of Glaucoma Services at Aravind Eye Hospital, Coimbatore, and he's going to tell us about a very challenging moment with the GAT procedure. On to you, Doctor.
Thank you, madam. Is my slide visible?
Yes.
It's just a video. I'll walk you through the video and what difficulties we face when we do the GAT procedure. So this is a young lady who has juvenile open-angle glaucoma and myopia, and she's on 3 anti-glaucoma medications. We're planning a GAT procedure for her. So this is how it starts. This is running at 2x speed. So we make a small nick using a Hill gonio lens. We make a small nick at the nasal trabecular meshwork, and this is a 50 Prolene suture. This is quite thick, so we are using this blunted with the help of our sister concern Aurolab. They provide us, and this is the first mistake, getting air bubbles into the anterior chamber, and that's something which you should avoid. So after using a Grishaber forceps, we are introducing the suture into the trabecular meshwork, and it seems to be going pretty smoothly. So it's pretty going even faster, faster than you expect. And you can see it is, you can have regurgitation of blood from the trabecular meshwork. As the suture starts inflating the trabecular meshwork, you can see that it is, you can get blood from the opposite direction as well. And the important thing is we have a tendency to press down on the gonioscope. So that's something which you shouldn't do. You should try to lift up the gonioscope so that you don't get the folds. So that's something which we have to master as we are performing the surgery. And I was very surprised that things are pretty going so smoothly. I continue to push, and here, can you see that? There. You can just see the suture. It has perforated the trabecular meshwork subincisionally. I'll play it again, and there you have it. You have the tip of the suture seen in the anterior chamber. Okay. So the moment I saw that, I started looking at my camera. Did anybody else see that? And then I had to retract it. So I said, okay, it's in the wrong place. Let's go the other way. So this is the other way. And again, I'm making a mistake, which I'll tell you at the end of it. I'm making a mistake because of which it's not. And when you again, you see the folds because I'm pressing on the cornea, and I'm introducing into the trabecular meshwork. And now after some time, I see that it's not going in the correct direction. So I hold on, I take a deep breath, and I see that as using my forceps, it's not clamping very well. And here, I'll show you again, the suture is supposed to be against the wall of the near the trabecular meshwork. It shouldn't be jutting out like as perpendicular to the trabecular meshwork. So that's one sign that it has not been introduced in the correct plane. So I use a smaller suture, which is the 60 Prolene. I take out the suture. I inflate the chamber again. And here I bring in the 60 Prolene. I introduce it into the anterior chamber, and then now you find that the angulation is better because the positioning was not correct. You should see the trabecular meshwork as you see the wall facing in front of you. You must not see it. The profile should not be lower or above you. That means the patient's head should be tilted so nicely. And sometimes to start off with, you don't want the patient to be in that position because you may find that it's uncomfortable to the patient. You may think that it's not a position in which you would expect them to be, for you to be doing surgery to them. But you have to attain that position so that you see it as a wall in front of you. And then I again use the suture. I'm introducing it. It's not going in. It's popping out. Then I go back a little bit. I come back. I inflate the chamber again with viscoelastics. You don't really have to use Heal-On. We use the normal viscoelastics here. Only issue is that we may have to, inject it repeatedly. But of course, we have to consider the cost also because it gets billed to the patient. And now I see the trabecular meshwork much more clearly. I retract the suture. And then coming back, again, it's popping out. It doesn't stay in. So I come back and then introduce it from the extreme edge of the cut edge. Now it goes into the Schlemm's canal. This is a smaller suture. The bigger one would not have gone, it would have perforated. This continues to go, and I feel a little rigidity as I'm introducing. The way you introduce is it, you push it towards the sclera and then nudge it in. Don't push it in directly against the trabecular meshwork. Push it in slowly against the scleral wall and into the Schlemm's canal. The Schlemm's canal is about 600 microns. These sutures are also of the same caliber. The smaller one is of course 500 microns, which is the 6-0. And now you can see that it's going in pretty. It doesn't go in very freely. There is some tug, and you may have to apply about 25 strokes for you to get it around the edge. And as it is coming around the edge, keep an eye on the right side, or that is the leading edge. You can always rotate the gonio lens and then see how it is coming on the other side. And you can see that it's come in the gem. Once it comes into the view, you reduce the magnification, catch hold of the suture and don't leave it. And you must understand we are doing this in a phakic eye. And catch hold of the suture outside using a McPherson forceps and do an internal trabeculotomy. And once this is done, the surgery is completed. We can cut the suture into half. We don't reuse the suture because the contour changes and it doesn't really remain as it was as new. We discard it and then we use another suture for the next procedure. So that's how and once it's done, you have to deepen the chamber so that the suture can be brought out. If you want, you can just cut it and bring out the suture and wash the anterior chamber. So this is the end of the surgery. We have seen the patient 6 weeks later. This is the first post-op day. One photograph, and you can see there's a little bit of layered hypema. She's maintaining good vision now and intraocular pressure of 14 millimeters at about 6 weeks time. Thank you very much.
Thank you for very relevant practical tips of the problems which you would face when you're doing this procedure. Murli, could you take the first question?
Yes, madam. So I have a question, Dr. Ganesh. One is that suture GAT is generally considered to be a blind technique. So how do we identify suture obstruction to passage? And one more thing is, if it does get obstructed, then what would be your next step?
So far of the 30-35 patients I've done, if I have an obstruction, I've done it in patients who have undergone post-trab surgery just to open up the trabecular meshwork, sort of a palliative procedure. We just bring back the suture. Even dilatation is sufficient, but I never gone in and cut it and opened it out. So the techniques have been described in which you could, turn around the patient and see where the suture has got stuck and do a limited trabeculotomy. That's one way of managing it. And of course, as you said, it is a blind procedure. You have to be in the correct plane to get it around 360 degrees. So that's one thing which has been described, that you go around the eye as much as possible and see where it got stuck and do a limited trabeculotomy.
One question to Dr. Shushmita on this. How do you minimize bleeding when you're doing this procedure?
So one tip is, once we make the incision, and it also helps in advancing the suture, is take a 27 gauge cannula on a visco syringe and do a sort of viscocannulostomy. So it sort of tamponades that area, but invariably there is some bleeding. But this is one thing, it opens up and you go in, but tamponading is the main thing. At the end of it, even though the pressure might be a little higher, but we do tamponade it and leave it in. And if you think it's really high, we might give a Dymox also. But usually it just might bleed. It's part of it, but it's transient. And usually it's for a day or two, that's all.
You could always maintain the patient in a reverse Trendelenburg position so that the head end is always elevated. And that has to be throughout the recovery phase also.
And what are your thoughts about doing a partial GAT? Do you think that is successful at all?
Well, if you get stuck, there's nothing else you can do except pull it out and then go the other way. And just try to treat as much of the angle as possible. So if you get stuck one way, Just do as much as you can and then go and do as much as you can the other.
Thank you. I think we should, thanks a lot, Dr. Ganesh. Stay with us. We would want you to contribute to the discussion.